Hello everybody, it's Julia with Senior Susie Stamps, and several weeks ago I posted a card over on the Facebook page, and here it is. And I made this out of some leftover scraps from some paper that I designed, and there seemed to be a lot of interest in it on the Facebook page, so I thought today I have some scraps left from a video yesterday, and I thought we would try to make one of these with the scraps that I have. And they came from the Be Happy paper that I made a while ago. And it's all the scraps that were left from a video that I made yesterday. So I thought that was going to be a good time to try that little card again. I also happen to have a piece of scrap in my white paper bin that has some Xyron on it. Now, you don't have to have a Xyron machine to do this. In fact, I'm going to have to add some adhesive onto this piece because I didn't. This was the very last of my Xyron on that day. Now, I saved this to mount my tape, my foam tape up onto. Any kind of release paper like this will work. So these are kind of like gold in my studio. Just a little side note there. If you don't have a Xyron machine, just take your tape runner and drop some tape runner in a close little pattern, and that will be just fine for this, because we are going to have to go back and do a little lift and glue down on these pieces that go onto this. So this is really sticky, and what I like to do with these is to I cut these in varying widths from about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, and then these were the leftovers from the ephemera that I had. So it's just going to be a hodgepodge. This is not a new technique by any means. It's been done over and over and over again, but it's a good way to use these kinds of little scrap pieces. And I just usually put them in perpendicular. I don't usually run them on the diagonal in this particular kind of piece, and I like to do a little torn edge sometimes. I just kind of keep working on it and not thinking about it too awfully much, because when you start thinking about this particular type of thing too awful much, then you kind of get a little stagnant in what you're doing. So just keep working on it and do whatever you like. Tear your paper and just use up some strips. And I'm not going to worry about this little open spot here at all, because I know we're going to come back to it eventually. In fact, here's a little piece right here that we can put down, and all I'm getting is some contact on that, because I can go back in and glue my little pieces down here without any problem at all. So I'm going to put some going both ways, and then we'll end up with kind of a hodgepodge mess, and that's perfectly fine with me. Perfectly fine. And I don't care if it goes over the edge a little bit at all. So I'm just going to keep working this in, and then when I get finished with this part of it, then I'm going to go back up and do a little lift and glue, so that the loose edges will either kind of tear off if we can get a grip on them, or we'll go back and glue them down. So I'm going to just speed this process up, because I think y'all can figure it out a little bit. And I don't care if it's got a white stripe on it at all, because we're going to do a lot of stuff to this before it's all said and done. There. Now I'm going to take my Books by Hand PVA glue and just go back and do a little bit of gluing on these pieces that are lifting up, because you do want them to be stable. And you can see this process doesn't take long at all. And it looks really ugly at this point. And we're going to go back and do some ink work on it in just a second here. So bear with me while I get these little ends tidied up. There, that's fine. Now, I want to turn this over and cut off my excess from the back. And what I want to do is to get a piece of scratch paper from over here, because I want to do some ink drag on this. And I chose some inks that kind of go with, let me get a little swig of coffee here and see if I can get that frog out of my throat. I chose some inks that will kind of go with this color, and we'll see. And we're going to do a drag on this. This is Tempting Turquoise, which is a fabulous color. Oh, I see a loose one right here. I'm just going to tear that off if I've got something under it, which I don't. So hang on, let me glue that one down. There we are. And I'm going to do one color in one way and another color in another way. So here we go. And it already is changing, isn't it? Come in from both ends. And I'm being very generous with my pressure on this so that I got some good ink coverage on it. I don't care if the paper is recognizable when I get through with it or not. It just is a background. Okay, so there's that one. I'm going to let that dry a little bit. And that's really pretty just as it is for a background. I think we'll go back in with this green and do the drag in the opposite way and see what that looks like. There we go. And that pretty well covered up some of that Tempting Turquoise, didn't it? And made it more into a green, nice green background. Ooh, I kind of like that. And I think I'll go back in and come back the other way now. Let's see, the green we went this way. So I'm going to put a little black in there and kind of tone it down a little bit. And I'm going to lighten up on my drag on the black. This will give you inky fingers, just so you know. So if you're one of those kind of people that doesn't like ink on your fingers, you might want to put on a little glove or something. There. Now we're talking. Isn't that cool? All right. I'm going to put a little more black down in there. Okay. Now I need to let this dry, and I'll come back when it's dry. Now on this one, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but I've gone in with a gold pen here and just followed some of those paper glue lines with my gold pen just to give it a little sparkle and shine and a little interest in there. And I believe we'll do the same with this one and just see how it comes out. This is my favorite gold pen. And it's this Uniball Signo broad tip pen. It works very well. I don't know why I have so much trouble with the white one, but the gold one works like a champ. So now the interesting thing about this is the decal edge. And I may not have let my paper dry quite enough. I don't know, we'll see. But I'm just going to drag some gold down into this, going both ways on my pattern here. And all that does is to add to the interest of this little background that we're making out of junky scraps that you normally would just put in your recycle bin. Oops, don't worry about that. That little drag over, it just goes away, especially if you scribble some in there along with it. And this gold on the honeycomb looks a little more goldish now. I'll draw one here, maybe one in here, a little bit that way. Wow, this decal edge really makes it interesting. Alright, that's probably going to be enough there to add a little shine to this piece. Maybe a little more down in through here. There. That's all we need the gold for. Now, I also took a little bit of red acrylic metallic paint and spattered directly onto that one. And I think on this one, I'm going to look for some maybe copper. Let me go look. I'll see what I got. See, I got a royal gold, which is kind of a cross between copper and gold. I think that might just be perfect for this. Let me get my spatter box. And all that is an old shoe box. Old shoe boxes are fabulous. I hope you all don't throw yours out because they are so useful in life. And I've got a little small acrylic block. And I'm just going to put a little dab of this royal gold paint on it. And I have a really stiff bristled brush here, so I think I'm going to try spattering with that first and just see. Get you up in frame here. Get a little lower maybe. There we go. Now that's doing it. Cool. Okay, let me go put this in some water and I'll come right back. I'm going to reach in here and grab this out of my box so we can get it out of the way. I've got my heat tool. I'm going to dry it up a little bit. So hold your ears. One of the things that I frequently do with this kind of a piece is to get rid of that white edge with a black marker. And I am going to go ahead and do that today as well. Because I don't like it to show, especially if I put a black edge on it, and I'm not sure I will put a black edge on this one, but they may very well. And it's easy to get rid of with a little black chisel point Sharpie, and it just gives your piece a little more finished edge that way. Trying not to get my fingers on this paint in case there's some of it that's still wet. This is really pretty. I may like this one better than I do the first one that I did. And there's a little piece there that's not glued down. I need to get to it right here on the corner. Let me get that done. You find them periodically when you're working on a piece like this. Let's see if this looks about right. Ooh, well, you know, I kind of like that actually. It's different. Okay. Now, what I need to figure out is if I'm just going to mount it up onto a white card base or if I'm going to put it on black. And this one is so dark, I think I might like it on white. Let's try that and see. Do we want it all the way to the blue or all the way to the yellow? I think all the way to the yellow, and maybe get rid of that little bee body there. Okay, I am going to have to take this and mount it up onto a piece of white scrap, and there will be just a little bit of white show here, and that's fine. I am going to edge that. I think I will, just to give it a little more, a little less white. And I'm just putting my black edge on there. There we go. And then that'll go right up in there. I think it's time to glue this bad boy down. Because of the structure on this, I'm going to put a little extra glue on this. And I think rather than a portrait style card, I want this on a landscape. And I'm going to bring it in and get an equal border all the way around that. And then I'm going to flip it over and rub it from the back. Because if any of that acrylic paint is not dry, I don't want it to be all smooshed out too much. A little bit would be alright. Oh, I don't see any on the surface here. And now this I'm going to put up on some foam, I believe. Now let's get this piece glued down. And I think we'll put it right up here. So this one is not covered. And it will show up well. Now I need sentiment. And I think I'll use my decal trimmer to do that. And what I'm going to do is set the guide on the decal trimmer right along that line of script there and start the cut and then turn it and cut against it. And that way it'll turn out to be square in the end, following the same procedure of putting the text next to the guide right there. There we go. And there it is. Do we want to put it up here? Maybe right here, right here, right here, right there. Okay. I'm going to put a little tiny strip of foam on the two sides just so that it doesn't lose anything in the mail. And then we'll put some glue on the middle part. And that little sentiment will be held perfectly. And we'll put it on right side up. I think right about there. There. That's a very interesting card. It's got a lot going on. Perfect use of scraps. And I think the colors that we used in the ink drag on this really added a lot to it, didn't it? That little gold pen work, you definitely can't discount that because you may not be able to see it so much in the camera, but looking at it head on, this is absolutely stunning. So I hope you have a great week and that you'll try this sometime because it's a lot of fun. And you saw that pile of scraps that I started with. That was definitely trash fodder. I'm just telling you. Talk to you later. Bye.